subject of leadership. And today I have a guest with me, Andrey Ivanov, co-founder of Flash Love and Bratya program. And before I ask him some questions, I would like to quote John Maxwell. He said, "Leadership is not about titles, positions, or flow charts. It's about one life influencing another." Andrey, I have been following you on Facebook for a couple years now, and I think you are a unique voice in our community, especially in Slavic community, basically thinking out of the box and doing things differently. And people like this, they really excite me. I like people who think differently and who impact the world in a meaningful way. Can you share with us today how did the idea of Flash Love came to you and your brothers and some friends, and the Bratya program?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a real privilege actually to connect with like-minded people. That's kind of a two-part question, so I'll go into, I guess, explain the first about Flash Love. For myself, I mean, I had my own faith walk. For my brothers, they had their own, and we were kind of at one point 3 years ago or 4 years ago now, reaching a point where we had a party life. We had a life where it was like from living in this constrained, legalistic environment into all of a sudden it's like you tore away from that, and then you're supposed to make all of your own decisions, and you were never kind of instructed on how to respond to areas of that. It was just always like, no, and you're out on your own. So now fast forward a little bit, we were starting to ask some real questions. Like, I used to wake up on Saturday mornings and feel horrible. I used to wake up on Sunday mornings and feel horrible. Going to church and still feeling the buzz. But that was then. Again, asking the real questions of what is my purpose? What is my existence here? And it was exhausting, and for a man, I think it's not just troubling. It's very difficult to build a team. If men don't have a goal, whatever that goal is, you begin to kind of run in circles, and you see men join football leagues. These online football leagues. It's a joke, in my opinion, but sorry if I offend the dudes out there. Guys root around, watching football. They want to belong to this team so they can feel important. So men need that. I needed that. Those things didn't really draw me. That wasn't my fix. But God would begin to just turn my heart to the problems that I would hear, and I would hear problems about issues about youth. I would hear just the troubles that we were having where there was abuse of youth, there was abusive situations, and I was like, man, it doesn't take very much to ignite someone. It doesn't take very much to get someone inspired to do something. So I guess I explained a little bit about what kind of got Bratya or Flash Love going, and what later turned into another side program of Bratya, where we just simply wanted to pull these little guys, boys from fatherless or just single parent homes, and give them a chance to be surrounded by good men who are living out the life and wanting to just influence them.
How do you think having no father in a home, or having a father who is not really active in a young boy's life, affect a young man in the future?
That's a good question. I don't come from a single parent home, so for me it's going to be a little bit more difficult maybe to answer that. But when we were growing up, I'm one of 13, so Dad, not by choice, had to work a lot. And I remember still having those moments where when Dad would come home, all he would have time for is to eat and then kind of be the judge, right? Kind of roll out the punishment, right, for everything that we caused during the day or during the week from Mom, of all the misbehavior and misdeeds. So that created over time disconnect with our dad, to where when we wanted to ask him some real questions, we didn't have a whole lot of time for it. Over time that changed, and we became more involved with Dad, and he tried his best, and he did so much for us. So that kind of gives me maybe a little bit of an understanding. I mean, now we've grown up, we've reconciled with Dad, and we have an amazing relationship now. But I can just imagine having those same real questions that I had, and being raised around a mom, right, women, and all the rest. It's like there's this hard world out here, and there's this soft side of Mom that's just trying to be protective and trying to do the role of two people. So I can imagine how it's just actually debilitating. I don't know how it's possible to grow up in a world understanding two or trying to understand two sides. The soft, loving, tender, care of a mother that's trying to, educate and teach, and then for her to try to play a role of a father and teach you how to stand up for yourself, teach you how to take care of someone, teach you how to respect someone from a male, side, and then so it's almost impossible, I think, and not fair to the child.
And I do see a lot of identity issues in young men, these days, and which leads them to maybe substance abuse or just doing nothing with their lives or just leading mediocre lives. That's why I think it's really important to see what you're doing and what impact your organization is doing
Boys,
in our community.
yeah, boys. It's funny I say boys and men. I mean, they need affirmation from the littlest, from the smallest. Again, I don't have kids of my own yet, but I see it in the program. From the smallest, our youngest has been, I think, 4 years old. We've allowed on some projects, but typically it's 7 to 15 years old. They do something, and then they watch you react. They want you to notice them. They want you to say that's cool. Wow, that's impressive. They want that affirmation. And if they don't get it from an adult that has a better understanding, I'm not saying a perfect understanding of what life's about, but a better understanding than the child, they're going to look at among their peers. And if their peers say that's cool, that's now their moral baseline. That's what they're going to do.
So the question I have is this: in one of the last quotes on your Facebook, you said, "I used to think that have to have a good life. You have to fix your life, and you need to fix what doesn't work in your life." But you said, when I started to serve, my life changed. Garbage that cluttered my life and mind dissipated because priorities changed. What do you mean by that? What garbage are you talking about?
I think everyone struggles with this issue at some level, some more, some less, depending on where they're at in their life. But for me personally, it was things always creep into your schedule. When you ask anybody, hey, can you come out with me on this day, maybe do this one thing, whether it's a kind of community service project or even just spend time. For most people, they're going to look at you and they're going to, or at that whatever you presented, and they're going to see, does that fit into my schedule? And because for not most, but in my case back then, that wasn't a priority. I didn't have time for it. So I was so busy doing nothing useful. That is, I was busy doing nothing useful. So for me to change my life, because I wanted to be something more, I wanted to be something better, and it was seemingly impossible. Like God, I can't shake off this dirt that I'm continuously having to go through, this repetitive lifestyle of binging and whatever else we were into, to just start to consistently. So once my priorities shifted, right, to where I began to care less about the partying lifestyle and the things that used to entertain me, and we just started to engage with things that meant something more. It started to draw me more, and over time, my interest was more to that. And what I noticed was it was easier for me to tell some of my friends and brothers even at the time, but look, I just don't even want to go to it. I'll come, to hang out, but I just don't even want to be here. It's just not my thing. It's not that I feel above you by any stretch. It's just not my interest. So as my priority shifted, I feel like this liberating feeling, an experience of just doing life different. And it wasn't that, again, it's when I emphasize it wasn't because I changed myself and then it started to be good. I just over time just started to do different. Yeah.
So we have like 2-3 minutes left. You said so many dreams and ideas came to pass within the last 3 years, I guess. And you wonder what would have happened if I never stepped out of my comfort zone or faced my fears. Can you shortly, and you had to live up to expectations of others. You had to overcome all of that. Can you talk a little bit about this? What it meant for you to step out and do things differently and face maybe opposition or some gossip even?
Not to sound overly confident here, but when I look back at my life, just in the last year and a half, 2-3 years even, I'm blown away by the level of just mess that I started and was able to accomplish. And I call it mess just in a humbling sense. But there's a lot of good things that happened over this time. And when I look at it, a lot of those plans and dreams that I have been able to accomplish, not by myself, by by any
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But with people, when I look at them, they're like 4, 5, 10, even in some cases years premature. Meaning myself and with so many people, amazing people, we've been able to accomplish accomplish so much in such a little time. And when I look at it, when you start any project, you always look, okay, I want to get to this point. Okay, what is it going to take? It's going to take this. It's going to take all these different things. And you get so stressed out by the things that you don't even know how they're going to roll out. And what that does is most people, they're just going to fold. They'll cave in, and it's exhausting to even think about what I started to think about, meaning my goal. What I noticed was, and I've been criticized on this a lot too. Well, one is, people always like, what if you fail? Who cares? You simply you fail anyway. Let's just look at it that way. If that's how we're going to use it. But the biggest thing is, what would happen is we would want to get there. We just start going, and people would be like, "Oh my goodness, you don't have this. You don't have it. I don't care. I'm just going to go." And as I would start moving that direction, people would be like, you're not ready. You have to plan this out, all these other things. And as we would start going, I would talk to people, be like, hey, this is where we're going, this is what the objective is. And I'm talking to someone else, and they'd be like, you know what, I actually know someone, or I can do this, and all of a sudden the dream would start to form, because I would just start running like a reckless maniac in times, I think. And a lot of things just came to fruition because people saw themselves as part of that, and my hands were always left, wide open